Did you know that no matter from what angle you look at Mickey Mouse, his ears will always appear round? Don't believe me? Well, how often have you seen Mickey like this compared to this? Disney find it so important to have him viewed this way that when he appears in 3D format, his ears doesn't rotate with his head but simply stay in the same position facing the viewer. I wonder what happens when there's two observers. Donald Duck is a Nazi. Well, okay, not really, but in an animated short film in 1943 called Der Führer's Face, he actually is portrayed as such. It was a propaganda film produced by Walt Disney Productions which features Donald Duck in a sort of nightmarish setting working at a factory in Nazi Germany. The film even won the Academy Award for Best Animated Short Film the same year it was released, and is the only Donald Duck film to do so. However, ever since it released, Disney has tried keeping it out of general circulation, given its quite controversial nature. In most of the cartoons in the early 50s, Goofy had a wife and a child. What's interesting though is that while the face of Goofy's wife is never shown, she appears to be human and not some sort of dog-like creature like Goofy. She also has 5 fingers instead of 4 as Goofy and most of Disney's animal characters do. And in the 1995 film A Goofy Movie, it's implied that she died, which could explain her sudden disappearance in later cartoons. Hannah Montana is one of Disney's most successful live-action shows. It began in 2006 featuring Miley Cyrus as the lead actor. However, several other names was suggested before they eventually went with Hannah Montana. Included in those names was Alexis Texas. Sound familiar? Well, maybe to the guys watching at least. Alexis Texas was instead claimed by a young porn star who also began her career the same year. Today, Alexis Texas is one of the biggest names in the porn industry. Disney also likes to have their characters make various cameo appearances in their movies. For example, in the movie Frozen, Rapunzel and Flynn from the movie Tangled can be seen briefly in one scene. Mickey can be found in another. Lady and Tramp can be seen in 101 Dalmatians. Donald, Mickey and Goofy can be seen in The Little Mermaid. Belle and the Magic Carpet is visible during one scene in The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Stitch in Treasure Planet. The Magic Carpet in The Princess and the Frog. And here Pinocchio can be seen in Tangled. And there's many more of these. If there's one thing that Disney theme parks around the world are known for, it's the numerous impressive castles. But they can be quite deceiving, as most of them use something called forced perspective. This means that they place certain parts of the castle at different distances, which gives the illusion of a very large structure. And the Cinderella castle at the Magic Kingdom Park uses a brick pattern on the building that gets smaller and smaller the higher up you go, which creates the same effect. A famous myth about Walt Disney himself is that the last thing he wrote was Kurt Russell, and no one knows why, not even the actor himself. While it is true that he did write his name in one of his last notes before he died, even if he spelled Kurt with an I, the last thing he wrote on that note was CIA Mobley, referring to the young actor Roger Mobley. And the most logical conclusion is that he was simply listing names of actors he thought was suitable for a role in the television show Way Down Cellar, that was also mentioned on the note. Another myth is that he was supposedly cryogenically frozen after his death. This is also not true, as his remains were in fact cremated. Those of you who likes to read creepypastas might have read some stories about abandoned Disney theme parks. And this is true, there's actually 2 of them. The first one was called Discovery Island and was closed in 1999. The other was called River Country and was closed in 2001. Both parks have been abandoned rather than demolished ever since, and it's not exactly known why either of them was actually closed. Some brave people have actually ventured into the parks many years later, taken photos and videos revealing how the parks have started to fall apart and vegetation taking over. A few years after the closure of Discovery Island, Disney considered teaming up with the makers of the Myst video game series to create an interactive experience called Myst Island. Guests would explore unusual locations and unravel mysteries about the island. However, development of this attraction never got beyond the concept stage. I don't know about you, but places like this somehow looks extremely eerie. Tom and Jerry was originally going to be called Jasper and Jinx. In his first appearance in 1941, Tom is actually called Jasper by his owner. Jerry remains unnamed in the short film, but the creator himself has stated that it was in fact Jinx. Goofy was originally known as Dippy Dog and later George Jeef, before eventually getting the now common nickname Goofy. Mickey Mouse was in the beginning supposed to be named Mortimer Mouse. However, Donald Duck has kept the same name ever since the beginning, but his full name is Donald Fauntleroy Duck. Doesn't really have the same ring to it. Many of Disney's movies has time and time again been accused of featuring some form of hidden sexual message. Most are just false or very skeptical at best, as I will show you, but one in particular is actually true. So, in The Lion King there's a dust cloud in one scene that some say forms the word sex, because we all know how dangerous the word sex is. However, it's speculated that it was actually supposed to spell out the word SFX as a little mark by the effects team. I don't know about you, but that sounds a lot more logical. In The Little Mermaid, it looks like one of the characters actually has an erection during one scene. The scene was edited in later versions, even though it was later revealed to just be his very pointy knees. In the movie The Rescuers, however, there are two frames in the movie which features a real-life photo of a topless woman. Yeah, seriously. But because it took over 20 years until it was actually discovered, it's impossible to say who actually did it. The photo was obviously removed in later versions though.